Are you moving to Buenos Aires and need an apartment but unsure where to start? Or are you already in the city but struggling to find an apartment without breaking the bank? Nomadic Fire has you covered. This video will help you avoid the common mistakes expats make when searching for housing in Buenos Aires. I'll cover key factors you can negotiate to reduce your rent, hidden fees to keep an eye out for, and insider tips to help you save money. For those that don't know me, I'm Marco Sison, and I'm thrilled to bring our community of 500,000 expats who visit Nomadic Fire's website another fact-filled video guide on our YouTube channel, where we bring you the best tips, tricks, and recommendations on how to live your best life abroad. NomadicFire.com brings you the best updated intelligence on expat life in different cities, countries overseas. With us, you get the unique perspective of having one source to compare, contrast, and capture life in retirement hotspots like Mexico, the Philippines, and Colombia. Hey expats, welcome back to our channel. In last week's video, I took you on a tour of 6 different apartments in Buenos Aires' most popular expat neighborhoods, with prices ranging from $400 to $1,100 per month. In today's video, I'm going to share all the things I wish I knew before renting an apartment in Buenos Aires. We have a couple of frustration-inducing situations that could have been avoided if we had updated information like I'm sharing with you today. Trust me, you don't want to miss this. Otherwise, you're going to make the same silly mistakes that I and many other expats have made. And remember, if you find this video helpful, please like and subscribe. It really helps us out. If you need more real estate tips, comment below for access to our exclusive beginner's guide to renting an apartment in Buenos Aires. When you're ready to navigate the Buenos Aires rental market like a local, all you have to do is leave a comment with the neighborhood you're interested in the most, and I'll send you a link. Let's start with the thing most expats want to talk about first: cost. Housing is going to be your single biggest expense in living in Buenos Aires, unless you drink an absurd amount of Argentina's velvety smooth Malbec wine. But when prices of Malbec start at $4 a bottle, that's more of a drinking problem than a budget problem. The average studio in a medium-cost city in the US is $1,500, and this is just average rent, just a basic apartment in an okay-ish neighborhood. And that price doesn't include any utilities or furniture. Once you add on electric, water, internet, your total housing bill in the US is nearly $2,000 per month for a simple studio. And while inflation and the peso devaluation late last year is causing housing prices here to increase, you can still find housing for less than half what you will pay in the US. You can check out last week's video for specific examples. But to avoid overpaying, you need to pay attention. A few key factors will determine how expensive it is and how tricky it might be to finalize what your rent's going to be. Apartments range anywhere from $300 to $2,000 US or more, and they're influenced by various elements. There are common pricing factors like the size of the place, the amenities of the building, do you get 24-hour security, do you get a gym included, how old the apartment is, or how modern or renovated it is. I mean, these are going to be true in any city you live in any country. But due to Argentina's economy and currency situation, an oversized factor is the neighborhood. Buenos Aires is massive. There's roughly 15 million people living in the metro, 3 million of which live inside the city itself, spread out over 46 different neighborhoods. And when you consider the average working class salary here is less than $500 a month, you can imagine that housing costs are going to vary drastically from neighborhood to neighborhood. Now, throw in the fact that some districts are extremely more popular with expats than others. If you look at Palermo neighborhood or Recoleta, they're some of the trendiest areas in the city. Check out our neighborhood videos on Palermo, Hollywood, Soho, and Recoleta to get a feel of those barrios. Now, we chose Palermo, Hollywood. Yes, it was more expensive because it's an expat neighborhood, but we wanted to immerse ourselves fully in the city's charm without needing to rely on Uber or public transportation every time we wanted to go out. If you're willing to make the trade-off, less popular districts like San Telmo, Almagro, Villa Crespo, or Calavito offer much more affordable options. The length of your stay will also naturally affect the rental price. Naturally, short-term rentals of 1 to 3 months are more expensive than those of 3 to 6 months or 6 months or more. For less expensive apartments, say under $700 US, the price drops roughly $100 for a long-term lease. For rents that top $1,000, we usually get about a $200 discount for signing a deal over 6 months. Here's an insider tip. Contrary to nearly everywhere else I live in the world, one-year leases are more difficult to find. Due to nearly 300% inflation in Argentina, owners are less likely to want to lock in a rental contract for 1 year when they know that prices keep rising. Additionally, Argentina has very strict rental laws that apply to rental contracts over 1 year, and they don't apply to short-term rentals. This doesn't mean you can't find a 1-year contract, just don't be overly surprised when apartment listings, especially ones that target foreigners, only offer a 6-month max contract. How you go about renting can really influence the cost. Renting directly with the owner can get you the best price, but it involves a lot more work and more than just a little bit of Spanish. Airbnb definitely has the highest prices, but it comes with a lot of convenience and security. If you rent through a realtor, they often have access to better listings, but come with additional fees. Let's talk about those 3 options. Airbnb usually tops the list for the highest rental prices, but let's not forget, it comes with perks. I'm gonna get to those perks in a little minute, but if you're looking to save on those Airbnb and realtor fees, let me share you a few platforms that can be your best friends. I'm gonna list them over here. These platforms often let you search for dueño directo, which means you'll be dealing directly with the property owners and you cut out the middleman. You can also search for alquiler temporal, which is translated into short-term rentals. However, less than 7% of Argentinians speak English, so you either need a working grasp of Spanish or prepare yourself for some frustrating Google translation back and forth. And don't overlook the power of social media. Facebook Marketplace and WhatsApp groups are buzzing with apartment listings in Buenos Aires. Matter of fact, leave a comment below and I'll send you a link to specific Buenos Aires rental WhatsApp groups. Now here's something you need to watch out for. Realtor fees. Many listings are posted by realtors. Some have a flat fee, but many charge foreigners around 20% of the monthly rental price for the entire length of your contract. Now, imagine signing a contract for $800 a month and then finding out you're gonna have to shell out an extra $160 each month just in realtor fees. That's gonna bump your rent up to $960. And here's the kicker. If you extend your rent at the exact same place, you're still gonna have to pay that 20% fee all over again because it's usually included as a cause specific in the contract. Here's an insider tip. If you're adamant about avoiding those pesky realtor fees, always double check before a viewing. Sometimes it's hard to tell if you're talking to a realtor or the actual owner. I've had my fair share of these experiences. Once I asked someone 3 times if they were the owner or a realtor, and he skillfully danced around my questions until finally admitting he was the realtor when we met at the property. It's frustrating, but a good lesson learned. Be prepared to make huge payments in US dollar bills. Let me share an experience that caught us completely off guard. Look, we knew about the 20% realtor fee and we factored that into our rental budget, but nothing prepared us for what came next. Imagine our shock when we found out that many landlords and realtors don't accept rental payments in Argentina pesos. I mean, we're in Argentina, right? How can we not pay in the country's own currency? Due to that rampant 300% inflation I talked about earlier, landlords require a more stable currency, like US dollars. And while there are regulations around landlords having to accept Argentine pesos for long-term rentals for a year or more, short-term rentals don't have those rules. A second surprise was that we had to pay everything up front. For us, that meant 3 months rent, 1 month deposit, plus the realtor fees. That amounted to a whopping $4,200 in cash. And here's the kicker. Once you're in Argentina, there's no legal way to obtain large amounts of US dollar bills because you're only allowed to exchange roughly $200 US per month at a bank. I mean, we were floored. Especially because we signed a document stating if we didn't bring the cash within 2 days, we'd lose our deposit. Imagine after a grueling 20-hour flight to get here, spending 5 days straight viewing 16 different apartments and exploring all kinds of neighborhoods. Just when we thought we found the perfect place, we get hit with this bombshell. Now, we had some US dollar bills, but nowhere near that amount. I mean, who carries around an extra $4 grand in your pocket? I mean, especially since we hadn't been in the US for, maybe 3, 4, 5 years. And those of you with euros, Bad news. In our case, they wouldn't even accept euro. If you want to know how to get US dollar bills in Argentina, make sure to subscribe and hit that bell icon to get notified. We're going to cover this specific topic in our next week's video. The takeaway, if you're looking for a rental of less than a year outside of Airbnb in Buenos Aires, come prepared with plenty of clean $100 US bills. Trust me, you're going to thank me later. And here's an insider tip. Make sure they're crisp, unmarked, undamaged 100 US dollar bills. They may not accept anything different as payment. Okay, let's jump back to Airbnb, because while apartments there are more expensive, it definitely comes with advantages. You have the peace of mind that comes with customer support. So if something goes wrong with your place, you can lodge a complaint. In one of our Airbnbs, the roof sprang a leak. It wasn't bad, we still lived in the apartment, no problem, but Airbnb ended up refunding us for the 6 days it took to get it fixed. Paying online on Airbnb also means you don't have to worry about that $100 US bill problem I mentioned earlier. Using Airbnb means not having to decipher, translate, and sign legal contracts in Spanish, which is a relief if you're not fluent. In short, while more expensive, Airbnb can save you a lot of time and a lot of headaches. Insider tip, now from our own experience, Airbnb prices can be sky high. And what I've done, and it's worked multiple times, is come up with a fair price and message the landlord directly on Airbnb and see if they're willing to lower it. You'd be surprised how often this works. I save hundreds of dollars a month this way. Let's talk old homes for a moment. Some of the buildings in Buenos Aires are incredibly old, and their electrical systems are not built to withstand today's electrical consumption. We stayed in one such place where the power kept going on and off. And let me tell you, it's not as simple as flipping a switch on the fuse box. The electricity would go out, but the circuit breaker in the apartment wouldn't trip, so we couldn't fix it ourselves. Every time the power went out, and it went out multiple times, we had to wait for an electrician to come, unlock the basement, and change an ancient screw-in fuse. I mean, imagine waking up at 7 a.m. on a Sunday, turning on your coffee maker, and bam, no power. Then, after you call, you get told by your host the electrician won't be coming until Monday because no one in Buenos Aires works on Sunday. It's not a fun situation to deal with, especially when you haven't even had your morning coffee yet. Another issue with old houses is the wiring runs on the outside of the building. There was this time when we had a massive 3-diameter bundle of cables hanging right outside our window, and Buenos Aires can get pretty windy at night, and this cable would just start smacking up against the wall, making it impossible to sleep without earplugs. And if that's not enough to convince you, in the same apartment as what I just mentioned, we found a cremated cat in a closet. Yeah, you heard that right. It was in a neat little box with a drawing of a cat on it, showing the cat's name and the date of cremation. Okay, the dead cat thing admittedly isn't really a con about renting, but it shows that Buenos Aires is full of surprises. Pay close attention to where the air conditioning units and radiators are located in your apartment. Buenos Aires can get scorching hot in the summer and pretty chilly in the winter. And some places have radiators and AC units, and others only have one or the other. Sometimes the AC units equip with both heating and cooling, which helps keep you warm in the winter and cool in the summer. But double check how many AC units are in your apartment. Listings will commonly say that the apartment comes air conditioned, but neglect to say that there is only one air conditioning unit and it's in the bedroom. So hanging out in the living room or cooking in the kitchen during summer is a sticky, sweaty mess. One last tip. The rental market in Buenos Aires has a lot of one-room studios that can go for as much as $1,000 a month. Sometimes it's hard to tell from the listing whether it's a studio or it has separate rooms, especially because they're listed as a one-bedroom apartment. I've seen photos that make it seem like there's an extra bedroom, when in reality, the bed is sitting right next to the freaking kitchen. And you may not be in the studio apartments, so double check before you spend time to view them, just so you don't get disappointed. And here's another insider tip for those Americanos out there. Many of the listings here refer to number of rooms in the apartment, including the living room, not just the number of bedrooms. If you see an apartment listing that says it's a 2-room apartment, that usually means it's a 1-bedroom apartment, which includes 1 living room, not 2 bedrooms. If you need a 2-bedroom apartment, you're going to need to look for something that's listed as a 3-room apartment. I'm used to this, as most countries in Europe rent apartments the same way, but if you're coming from the US, this can get a little confusing. That's a wrap for today. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to check out our other videos where I take you through a tour of 6 different apartments, explore the most populous neighborhoods in Buenos Aires, or discuss handling large sums of money in Argentina. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit that notification bell. That way you'll be the first to know when our next video is released. It's going to be full of tips and insights to save you time, money, and stress. So, see you next week, and ciao from Argentina.